September 1, 1939, near the Polish town of Wieluń. Dawn breaks over central Poland under a low gray sky. At 4:40 a.m., German Ju-87 Stuka dive bombers descend without warning. There are no Polish troops in Wieluń, no anti-aircraft guns, no military headquarters. The bombs fall anyway. The hospital is hit first, then the market square. Within minutes, the town is burning. Civilians run into the streets carrying children, carrying nothing, carrying the dead. This is not a battle, it is an announcement. At the same hour, farther north at Westerplatte near Danzig, the German battleship Schleswig-Holstein opens fire. The Second World War in Europe has begun. This story takes place in a stretch of land that will soon become the most lethal ground on Earth. It runs from central Poland through eastern Poland, the Baltic states, Belarus, western Ukraine, and into western Russia. Historians will later call it the Bloodlands, the zone where Adolf Hitler's Germany and Joseph Stalin's Soviet Union overlapped, collided, and annihilated human life on a scale without precedent. Between 1939 and 1945, roughly 14 million civilians will be deliberately murdered here, shot, starved, gassed, worked to death, or left to freeze in open fields, not as collateral damage, not as accidents of war, but as policy. This narrative follows those events in strict sequence as they unfolded in real time, driven by real decisions made by real men and paid for by ordinary people who had no escape. August 23, 1939, Moscow. A week before Wieluń burns, Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union sign a document that reshapes Eastern Europe overnight. Officially, it is a non-aggression pact, the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Unofficially, in secret protocols, it divides Poland, the Baltic states, and parts of Romania into German and Soviet spheres of influence. For Hitler, the pact neutralizes the Eastern threat while Germany attacks Poland. For Stalin, it buys time to rebuild an army crippled by purges and allows the Soviet Union to reclaim territory lost after the First World War. Neither side trusts the other. Both intend war, but for now, they cooperate. September 17, 1939, Eastern Poland. 16 days after Germany invades from the west, the Red Army crosses Poland's eastern border. Soviet radio announces that the Polish state has collapsed and that Soviet forces are entering to protect Ukrainians and Belarusians. The claim is false. Poland is still fighting, but it no longer matters. Polish units, already exhausted and short on ammunition, now face two invading armies. Some resist. Most are overwhelmed. By early October, Poland is erased from the map. Germany takes the west, the Soviet Union takes the east. For the civilians trapped in between, the nightmare is only beginning. 1939-1940. Soviet occupation of eastern Poland. The Soviet occupation moves fast and methodically. NKVD units arrive behind the Red Army. Their task is not military control, but political cleansing. Landowners, teachers, priests, police officers, former Polish officers, anyone identified as socially dangerous is arrested. Families are woken at night and given minutes to pack. Trains of cattle cars head east, bound for Siberia and Kazakhstan. Between 1939 and 1941, approximately 320,000 Polish citizens are deported from Soviet-occupied territory. Many do not survive the journey. Those who remain face a different fate. April-May 1940, Katyn Forest near Smolensk. In secluded woodland outside Smolensk, NKVD execution squads work in silence. Polish officers, captured in 1939, are brought in small groups, hands tied. Each man is shot once in the back of the head with a German-made Walther pistol. Bodies are stacked in mass graves. Similar executions occur at Kalinin and Kharkiv. By the time the operation ends, more than 21,000 Polish officers, intellectuals, and officials are dead. The Soviet Union denies responsibility for decades, blaming Germany. The truth will not be officially admitted until 1990. The Bloodlands are already soaked. 1940, the Baltic states. In June, Soviet troops enter Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. Puppet governments are installed. Elections are staged. Annexation follows. Then come the arrests. In a single week in June 1941, just before Germany invades the Soviet Union, more than 40,000 people from the Baltic states are deported east. Entire families vanish overnight. Some are sent to labor camps. Others are simply shot.
Removed from history. June 22, 1941, Operation Barbarossa. At 3:15 a.m., the German artillery opens fire along a front stretching more than 1,800 miles, from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea. 3 million German and Axis soldiers cross into the Soviet Union. It is the largest invasion in history. Hitler's objective is not merely military defeat, it is annihilation. The war in the East is defined from the outset as a war of extermination. The invasion crashes directly into the Bloodlands. Summer-fall 1941, Western Ukraine and Belarus. German Einsatzgruppen, mobile killing units, follow behind the advancing Wehrmacht. Their mission is explicit: eliminate Jews, communist officials, and undesirables. Local collaborators are recruited. Lists are compiled. Villages are emptied. At Babi Yar, near Kyiv, over 2 days in late September 1941, 33,771 Jews are shot into a ravine. The victims are ordered to undress. They lie atop the bodies of those killed before them. Ammunition is used efficiently. Silence is enforced. Similar massacres occur across the region. Honari, near Vilnius. Rumbala, near Riga. Thousands of unnamed fields and forests. This is the Holocaust by bullets. By the end of 1941, over 1 million Jews have been murdered in the Bloodlands. Winter 1941 to 1942. Leningrad. Farther north, the German army reaches the outskirts of Leningrad. Hitler orders the city encircled, not captured. The population is to be starved into extinction. The siege lasts 872 days. Rations fall to 125 grams of bread per day. Bread bulked with sawdust. Temperatures drop to -30 degrees Celsius. People collapse in the streets. Cannibalism is recorded. More than 1 million civilians die. 1942, the policy of hunger. Across occupied Soviet territory, German planners implement the hunger plan. Food is diverted to Germany. Cities and villages are left to starve. Soviet prisoners of war fare even worse. By early 1942, over 2 million Red Army POWs are dead, shot, frozen, or starved behind barbed wire. This is not neglect, it is design. At this point, the violence in the Bloodlands has only accelerated. The line between occupier and victim will soon blur as the Red Army begins its return.